welcome to another episode of What Are We Watching? I did not know that was coming at me. I was like, oh, Keith, you should do because it's Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. I thought you would just do the ghost thing. And
dude. I had this
the spirit really
that
took
came right
over.
off the dome, dude. I didn't have control of my body for that one.
you holy ghosted. That
I think
was
so.
nuts,
I think
dude. Yeah.
I think the spirit of Samhain was in my head, dude.
Yeah.
It was just all like, yo, dude, go for it. You've been wanting to go for all year, just go for it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
Be your own man.
yeah, dude.
That's nuts.
If you want to see a change it. You know what I mean?
Change, be the change you want to see in the world or whatever. Samhain is also Tony Robbins' motivational speaker. Was that bit? Be like, yeah, you want to be the change you want to see.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's Happy Halloween.
Happy freaking Halloween.
This is very exciting news. This is our 25th episode. Our 25th, main episode. We've done a lot of other episodes, but this is our episode 25, quarter to 100. Doing this too long. Keith, what movie are we covering for this glorious occasion?
We are covering, in fact, 1978, John Carpenter's classic Halloween.
I guess it would be...
It's like, well, you really blew the music there.
wow, we really did not get the rights to this song when we were recording. I'm excited for this one. I don't even want to go over what else we watched. I know that I just asked you what else you watched earlier. Do you want to go over a couple of them, really quick? Because I think the Halloween spirit.
We can always just say names of things we watched. We don't have to talk about them.
Okay, give me a name. Go.
Give me a name.
Go. All right, fine.
You watched. You watched
Evil Dead,
and I watched Evil Dead too. It was like we didn't even know we were doing that.
Yeah. What else you got, dude?
Yeah. So that was fun.
Yeah, dude.
I watched Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead.
I was on the list. Oh, yeah. Related to this, I watched Black Christmas. I love that movie. Did you watch that one yet?
I did not
dude,
watch
you
it.
got to
So
throw
sorry.
that one on. Well, you know, why are you sorry?
I don't know, dude. I just think you're
There's
gonna hit me
a
like you
million
usually
movies out there. It's
Nah.
I just picked 41 to watch in October, and you just said "fuck you."
You remember? So, shout out to one of our friends, Ethan, who's first time listener, long time, not even a long time. I haven't known him that long. We had the list of the Spooktober. So this is unfortunately our Spooktober picks of the day are now officially over. Today being the last day.
Wow, dude!
Halloween.
What a freaking
what a rush, dude! But he was like, haven't watched 41 movies in a whole year, and I just thought.
And I was like, yeah, me neither. I'd never watched 41 movies.
But I was like, that's not that many movies, though.
No, if you
I didn't
over
think
a
it was
year, that's
that
less than one a
much.
week.
That's easy.
I don't know, but I guess I don't know. I think we're not normal though. Because dude, we slay movies. What's the best part about it is you slay a movie and you remember it. I slay a movie and I have amnesia.
And you Men in Black.
If I don't write something down or think about it after or blink twice, I don't remember.
You're done. So
someone would say, "How did that movie just end?" I'll be like,
well, yeah, dude. I think that it was
I watched the whole
Odd
thing.
Life of Timothy
and
Green.
the worst part is I don't have any electronic device in front of me. There's no
Yeah.
phone distraction. My brain just doesn't fucking work.
It's just okay, great.
I'm like
So
a
that's
goldfish.
good.
Anyways,
Yeah.
it's great. Yeah, sometimes it's great because
That's
I will
nice.
watch something again and it
You get to re-see things for the first time.
for emotionally based things. It's great.
Yeah.
You watch
Oh.
a nice rom, dude. I'm crying every time. 'Cause
Yeah.
I have forgot that emotion. Like A Star Is Born. Oh my god.
Yeah.
My
Your eyes
own,
are so
dude.
wide
oh
right
my
now.
God. I fucking love that movie. Brad.
Well, you
Coop.
don't. You just think you love that movie.
No,
You
dude, I
actually
love
know.
it. Brad Coop, Gaga, back to back.
Brad Coop.
Oh my god.
All right, well, dude, we're getting
Sorry,
a little out there.
yeah,
I gotta
So
give my
Pumpkinhead,
man.
Black Christmas, Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2, phenomenal. I love that one every
Yeah.
time. I watch it, I don't know, at least once a year, but that one fucking
It's
crushes.
good. So I did Evil Dead, which is a watch. That one's pretty cool. That's watch it one time and then you don't have to watch it again, I think.
The first
And then
one?
we watched. I watched Trick or Treat, which was our last. I guess we published at, a couple days ago, and then Halloween, which is what we're covering today.
Halloween.
Did you? All right. When you were younger, I tried to get M to do this. Was there a song that was like HALLOWEN Halloween? Does that sound familiar? All right, because that's how I spell Halloween in my head every day.
Every day, so 365.
Every day, it's a nightmare up there. So this is.
Is it similar to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6ers? That song?
No,
You like that one though?
I do. It's a hit.
It's a bop. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we're covering like Keith said earlier, the 1978 classic, which was released October 25th. So we just passed the 45th anniversary of Halloween.
Frickin'
the classic John Carpenter movie. This is where we are introduced to our boy Michael Myers, who arguably is the most iconic Halloween figure of all time.
Well, yeah, this is how they brought Halloween. Honestly, I feel like they created a lot of Halloween today with this movie.
Yeah, like homage left and right.
Because this is, I mean, I don't know that many Halloween-based movies before this, but this one brought like to the big screen like kids trick-or-treating in a normal like Midwest town.
Yeah, well, this was this was a huge success too. Like this crushed. This is one of the few movies, I know we'll probably get into this, but Robert Ebert, the film critic, he was like super harsh on horror movies. I think this was one of the ones that he was actually like, all right, they did a good job with this one. Yeah, which I think is like pretty impressive.
This is up there.
Yeah.
And it's still up there.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%.
We did have a friend of ours that said, like, oh, you know, it's the first time he saw it. And he's like, yeah, it's dated. And I get that. Yeah. Like, it is. But for me, like, even though I saw it as, like, younger, like, I still watch that. And I'm not, like, terrified at this point.
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
Yeah, it's
that's
objectively
the thing about horror is you don't have
awesome
to be
movie.
Scared of everything.
Well, I think that the problem now is with a lot of the newer, which today horror is killing it. Like, this, like, as we speak, the new horror movies come out are awesome. But, like, it doesn't need to be a scary movie for it to be a horror movie.
Yeah.
If that sounds weird.
It has to be macabre in some way.
Yeah.
Dark.
Yeah.
Brooding. Whatever.
But anyway, so do you want to go over do you want to run us through the cast? Some of the...
Well, so Jay Carp, he's in charge of this one. And he does the music. He writes this with Deborah Hill. So that's his writing mate. So they wrote a lot of stuff together.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I was watching something. This is like a split. They take like 50-50 credit for writing this movie, which is kind of cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I watched this interview with her too. She's like, they're both like really fun to listen to.
Yeah.
And so he directs, they write together. He does all the music for it. The music is just like, and not even just the theme, but the music in the movie, like the killer songs. Like there's a couple like, noises and music that he uses over and over again when Michael Myers is around.
It's incredible.
It like literally is a direct. They didn't rip it, but they like homage it in Friday the 13th. Like it's like almost the same exact kind of like.
Well, it's a really bare bones they did at the beginning like the.
Yeah, but you have your killer music.
Yeah, they did like an iconic, and then with Friday the 13th, it's like it's or whatever they say, but it's very identifiable. Like, oh, you are now like this is the killer's song, which I just think is really cool.
And I watched this when I was watching this little featurette or whatever. They were talking about how people were terrified of the music. Yeah, like the people in theaters, you would see them cup their ears. And they'd be able to watch the movie, but as soon as they uncup their, like, why'd you cup your ears? And like, oh, it's so scary. Like the music adds this whole horrifying element to it, and then like it's cool that like they pull that from older movies, but like,
well, this was, I mean, the music again in this one, the budget for this movie. So I know I usually talk about this. It was about $300,000 for this movie, which is nothing. Like that is not a lot of money. The reason why Carpenter decided to do his music, which is this is like a pretty common theme, like in this one, in Dark Star, which is another like really early one, Assault on Precinct 13.
That theme, that's one of my favorite themes.
Oh, it's incredible. Basically, Carpenter did the score because they wanted to save money, and that was basically it. Like he was like
a fucking genius.
It was incredible. But this one specifically, like the 1 2 2 1 2 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 2, that. There was an interview that I was watching with him a couple weeks ago. He said that was based on, he had a bongo. He had bongos next to him, and he only had 2 notes. So it was each one of the drums, and he was like messing around with it. And then he basically just did that on a synthesizer. And they were like, that could work. Like, that's pretty cool.
Oh, now that you say that beat is like what you would do if you had, like if you had 2 drumsticks, like da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah. So it was all based on the bongos, which
I was a drummer, so what? Like, whatever,
dude, it's cool.
I used to have a drum set,
or whatever. Yeah,
Pearl Forum series, Zelgin cymbals, whatever. I used to rock it in my basement. No big deal.
Still rock it, dude.
Double bass pedal.
We would have crushed it at the talent show in 78, dude. It would have been nuts.
Dude.
Anyway, so walk us through. So who else do we have going on in the cast?
Okay,
here?
so we have top bill is Donald Pleasance, who plays Dr. Sam Loomis. So it's kind of crazy because everyone thinks of Jamie Lee, but at the time she's unknown.
Yeah, this was her first movie.
Yeah, so she's unknown. Donald Pleasance is your top guy. He's actually only on set for 5 days. Like they had to just like quickly get him in. He said that he was like the maestro. Like he was just like super good at what he does.
He was just like a pro.
That's he was actually a World War II vet. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean that would be for the time appropriate.
World War II vet, and his plane was actually shot down, and he was actually tortured in a POW camp.
Holy shit!
Yeah, like it's kind of crazy. So like his composure is not just like acting. Like he's just kind of like
he's just a wired guy.
Like,
yeah,
I've seen some shit kind of guy.
Yeah.
Then he went on. He was like a theater savant. Like
I feel like he does remind me of someone who would be like a big theater guy.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Like
so he
just
came from the theater. A lot
stuff,
of people, like Tony Todd came from the theater, and Robert Englund came from the theater. It's it's a usual jump, but so Carpenter specifically got him. I think there were some casting things he tried that didn't work out.
Yeah,
I forgot who he tried. I remember hearing who he tried, but didn't work out. Too much money. He ended up getting
too much money.
It was. He just he can't. He had like a limited budget, and then he actually wanted Jamie Lee because she's the daughter of Janet Lee, spelled slightly differently, who was Marion Crane in Psycho.
Yeah,
and supposedly it's like it wasn't even the first choice, but that's who they agreed upon because they're like, oh, we need like
we need the
seed
name
of the original Scream Queen.
That was tough to get that out.
But this movie was originally called The Babysitter Murders.
Yeah,
and then they came up with the idea to involve the Halloween,
like season or
holiday. Holy shit, the word
that was tough.
And then like intertwine that into this idea of lunatic murdering babysitters. So it's like
pretty cool.
Crazy how that small idea was like, oh, we're gonna spawn like literally thousands of movies from this.
Oh, it's like it's upsetting how many they've done.
Yeah.
Who else do we have?
All right, so then you have
I really think there's only one other person. I would say
you have Nick Castle as
Nick Castle.
Shape.
Yeah.
He was actually a bandmate and like schoolmate of John Carpenter. That's how he got involved.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's cool that he reprised, like he was as masked Michael Myers. I think originally they didn't want Michael Myers to be the name of like the scary guy. They wanted it to be called The Shape, which like I think that's just kind of funny that everyone's like, yeah, fuck The Shape. So Michael Myers is like, but he came back as Michael Myers in Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends, which I thought was really neat that they brought him back for.
It would be cooler if those movies didn't suck.
Damn,
those movies are bad.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
That whole last trilogy is like,
I honestly haven't seen any of them. I can't.
The first one alone is like watchable.
Yeah.
The second one they bring in like Jamie Lee, God, what the hell? And then it's just a train wreck.
Yeah,
the plot is just awful. I don't understand why they did this, but I wish those movies were better. But Nick Castle is the original Shape, and I think they said they've tried to get other people to do what he does, and they just couldn't get anyone to.
The way he just moves was like
the head tilt. He just tried that.
Oh yeah,
and then that became iconic. Like he just tried that. He just like they're like, what? Try tilting your head this way and then this way, and they're like, oh my god, that's hard. Why is that so horrifying?
It was nuts.
It's because it's like so unhuman. Nobody just does that.
Well, it looks like it's funny. I mean, it's kind of the look that your dog gives you, and it's like, I know I'm supposed to be understanding you, like. I don't know.
It's but there's like no expression on the William Shatner mask. And you're just like, yo, what's up? What's going on behind that mask?
Well, let's just talk about those three.
And then Nancy Loomis plays Annie Brackett. That's
true.
That's the other one.
I forgot about her.
Yeah, she's the other like main.
Yeah, but so so that was the cast is pretty cool. Did I show you I have my little like Halloween thing signed by Nick Castle?
No, you were talking about it.
Oh, I gotta.
You never showed it though.
So I got it's the cover of the first movie, and it's Nick Castle, and he writes in quotes The Shape next to it, and I got that sign. That's like a nice little John Carpenter memento there. But anyway, so diving into the plot. So on Halloween night of 1963 in a suburban town of Haddonfield, Illinois. Again, these are supposed to be. I think we talked about this with the I almost said the Pumpkinhead episode, the Trick or Treat episode. They wanted it to seem like a small town that was relatable. That was like, oh yeah, I know of a town that looks like this.
Oh yeah.
Like they kind of killed it with. They did this the same in Halloween 3. When we did that episode, it's like, oh yeah, it's just like a small town.
Yeah, the atmosphere is half of it. That's why it works.
It's incredible. It's I think a lot of movies that do that, like small town turns weird, it always works.
Yeah, because
every time.
If you think about it, most of your audience is going to be in a small town that nobody's heard of,
or
like a suburb of a city.
Yeah,
that's like not enough. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's great. And
And if you live in a city, you can just watch Jason Takes Manhattan. You know what I mean? That is what it is.
Yeah, you can just watch Child's Play if you live in Chicago.
Yeah, dude. Candyman.
But anyway,
right, go ahead.
So it's 1963. We see a 6-year-old Michael Myers brutally stab his teenage sister Judith to death with a kitchen knife. So right out of the gate, you see kind of like a point of view from inside of a mask. He goes up and basically just starts stabbing the shit out of his sister. And that's the opening of the movie, which I just think is nuts that that's how they decided to do it. Flash forward, so already done with that scene. On October 30th, it's now in the future, so it's 1978. So it's, I guess, 15 years since that incident happened. Michael Myers' psychiatrist, Dr. Samuel Loomis. So do they just call him Dr. Loomis? I always forget. I guess it's just Doc or whatever. And his colleague, Nurse Marion Chambers,
who looks like a spirit Halloween nurse. Like
she really does.
I was watching it again last night, and I was like, bro, she looks like she's like the person like in Ferris Bueller when they drop off.
I heard that you were feeling ill. Yeah. So they drive to the sanatorium where Michael is incarcerated to escort him basically to a court hearing. So he's at some kind of facility for being, after you stab your sister to death when you're 6, that's usually what happens. So arriving, they get there at a thunderstorm. Dr. Loomis leaves his vehicle and approaches the gate. You find out that Michael has escaped the sanitarium grounds. He smashes the passenger window of his car, causing Marion to basically just gets the fuck out of there, which I thought was really funny. And then Michael steals the car and escapes. So out of the gate, Michael is a crazy murderer. He was in a facility. He has escaped the day before, mischief night, the day before Halloween, and he's basically just out and ready to party. Well, maybe not party, but was that no? You didn't expect to hear that?
I mean,
he's out and ready to party.
That's how some people party.
Yeah, murder. So Michael finally makes his way back to Haddonfield, and Keith, if you want to jump in, just let me know. I know I'm.
Oh, dude, just go with it, dude.
So anyway, Michael makes his way back to Haddonfield, the lovely town. He kills a mechanic for his coveralls along the way, like the iconic blue jumpsuit. So he basically rolls up on a poor mechanic, kills him, steals a bunch of different things, including like a white mask from a hardware store. And basically now he's on the loose. So at this point he sees, I think it's actually the next day, they see... I guess it's like the local authorities. They're like, yeah, this looks like some kids just stole like a Halloween mask. Which, Keith, what was that mask actually?
Oh, it's actually it was originally a William Shatner mask from Star Trek, and
but they unpainted it or painted it white.
They painted. They did something with that. They opened the eyes up, changed the hair on it. I don't know. Like that's what I'm like. They spent like no money on a mask, right?
Yeah.
That's what's cool about this is like these people are they're doing DIY shit.
Oh, and it's so iconic.
And she's just like, you know what? Let's fuck with this a little bit. Let's take this mask. Like, how do you see that mask and be like, all right, you know what? That's gonna be it. We're just gonna mess with that a little bit, throw some weird hair on it.
Yeah,
and
it's nuts.
Put it on, and she probably put it on somebody who was like, okay,
be like, yeah, that's the one. I think that's so cool. So at this point, he sees the teenager Laurie Strode drop off a key at the long abandoned Myers house that her father is basically trying to sell. So at this point, they're like, we gotta get rid of this house. Laurie is just dropping something off. You can see that Michael, you kind of get the vibe that he is going back to the house.
So he's inside the house.
Yeah,
you see his like shoulder or whatever inside the house,
inside
looking out
the house.
As Laurie walks away with our new friend Tommy Doyle, who we find out is the kid that she's about to babysit on Halloween night.
Yeah.
And then as she's walking down the street or walking down the sidewalk, you see him appear on the sidewalk, just over his shoulder. No, not even that yet.
Oh no, it's
just
not
see
that part. Yeah,
this keeps coming back. You just start seeing him all over the place. So I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, there's really no screen time with Michael Myers in this movie. But dude, there's so many shots where he's there, kind of like how Sam is in Trick or Treat, which is obviously a direct callback to this.
Yeah,
there'll be a scene. Like whether it's laundry, the iconic one outside the bush.
Outside the bush, yeah.
There's always between Laurie, Annie, anyone that's associated with this little group, you're like, oh, okay, he's going to be somewhere.
Like he's
like
there.
A Where's the Waldo?
Yeah.
Where's the Waldo?
Where's the Waldo? Yeah, that is pretty great. So Laurie actually notices Michael stalking her, but her friends Annie and Linda basically are just like, you're crazy. Like, no one's following you. She brings up, she's like, yeah, I saw like some fucking dude.
Oh, yeah, because you got the scene in the school.
Yeah.
Where she's like paying attention in class.
Yeah, and you see him outside.
She looks out the window and he's standing behind
and he's lurking.
The stolen car. And you're like, okay, stolen car, Michael Myers
mask.
Well, you don't really know it's Michael Myers. He's some dipshit in a mask staring at me.
Some dipshit.
She doesn't know who this dude is.
So yeah, her friends are basically like, "You're crazy. You're fine." So, and again, I'm kind of jumping around a little bit.
No, it's okay.
But Loomis then arrives. Fast forward a little bit. Dr. Loomis arrives in Haddonfield and finds Judith's tombstone missing from the cemetery.
Yeah, this scene's awesome.
That is awesome.
He gets like the grave digger or the grave owner or whatever, the owner of the cemetery.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, can you take me to her plot?" And they're looking, and they see a hole. They don't realize it's the plot yet. They just see a hole, and they're like,
"Yeah,
where's this? What happened here?" And he's like, "These damn kids," or whatever he says. And they look,
and
down,
he's like, "No."
And he's like, "Well, all right, so 18, 19." He's like, "That's Judith Myers. Like that's the gravestone." So you're like, "Oh, where's the gravestone? Oh, that's Judith Myers from the beginning of the movie that got sliced and diced by her little brother."
Yeah,
and now her gravestone's been stolen.
I don't know.
Something's afoot here.
Something's afoot.
I don't like what happened here. But yeah, when he does that escape, so if you flash back a couple of scenes when he does that escape, there's a line where Loomis just is like staring off. He goes, right after he pulls the car, he's like, "Evil has left us."
Oh,
and I'm
that's
like, dude,
such a badass
he has so
line.
many cool lines like that. I'm like, where do they get this guy?
The war,
rest
his time in the war.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, that was a
what
shame.
a legend that we lost way too early.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the plot. He basically, so they're at the gravestone. He's like, "Yeah, fucking Michael's in town. I am furthering my suspicion." He meets with the Sheriff Lee Brackett, Annie's father.
Yeah.
And they investigate Michael's house where they find a dead, mutilated dog, which is like, I always forget about this.
It's weird.
It's, when you think of this movie, you're not like, "Oh yeah, you remember the dead dog scene." Like, I always forget about it. It always takes me by surprise when I'm like, "Oh fuck," like, geez.
That's weird.
Yeah, but
so you don't see it at least.
Yeah.
They just kind of talk about it and they're like, "Yeah, well, he must have been hungry." And I'm like,
and you're like,
"So he ate a dog?"
And you're like, "What the fuck?" Loomis tells Brackett that in 15 years he has known Michael. He's come to believe that he is pure evil. So that just furthers with the line that you said earlier.
He said he spent 8 years researching him and then 7 years trying to keep him locked up, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, cool. You have the scariest person alive.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Brackett is basically doubtful and is like, "Yeah, I am a officer of the law, pal. Okay, you can't stop me.
Dude, I got freaking 6 shots in my gun right now. That will prove differently. You bring him in front of me, I'm putting 6 in him.
I'm putting 6 rounds in him." He basically just goes back to patrol the streets, and Loomis waits at the former Myers house. He basically thinks that Michael Myers is going to return back to the house. He's kind of always one step behind Michael, which is unfortunate. I mean,
he's trying to stake out the house, and I'm like, this is not a good move.
No, terrible.
He does. There is one scene where he does ward off kids that are going to like either vandalize or go in the house.
Yeah, that's true.
He scares them. He basically like,
"Get the fuck out!"
He's like, "Get out of here, you kids." He's like, basically saves them from impending possible doom,
from getting destroyed by
getting
Michael
jack-o'-lantern
Myers.
by Michael Myers and left out to hang in a tree with a bunch of Christmas lights.
Shout out to Halloween 6.
Yeah, the probably one of the worst ones, but hey, whatever, dude.
Hey, I just watch them. You just watch them too. I don't know where I was going with that. So now it is the next day, Halloween evening. Am I jumping too far forward?
The only thing I'll say is there's an iconic scene where they're walking home. You kind of covered it, but they meet up. It's Annie and Laurie, and they meet up with their other friend Linda, and they're like walking home. They're like talking crap about boys, about how Annie's gonna. This is kind of like where they get the same thing. This is where I see that trick or treat thing.
Oh yeah, where it's like,
where they're basically trying to get her to date this dude Ben Whalen or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
and she's like, "Oh guys, I don't like." It's like the same thing where she's kind of like resistant. She's like, she's not worried about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's just like, "Nah, I'm just."
She's like, "I know I have to babysit freaking the Lord Tommy Doyle tonight. I don't have any time for boys." And the other girls are like, "Yo, just get the doobies out.
Just get."
So then that's when Michael Myers is like creeping past them in his car, and Annie goes like, I forget what she says.
I can't remember the line. I know what you're talking about.
She basically like, "Hey, he's speeding by her." That's right. And she goes, "Hey, jerk, speed kills." And then he slams on his brakes, and you're like, "Oh." And they're also like, "Oh no, we shouldn't have said nothing." But then he just drives off.
He just drives away.
So they're getting set up to go to the Wallace and Doyle house, which are across the street.
Yeah,
they're both going to babysit, and then Linda, the other girl, is just looking for her boyfriend Bob, because they're gonna figure out where out of those houses they can lay their little nest, make a little love tonight.
Bow now, bow to
little
bow.
Arms wide open. But then this is also where you get the iconic hedge scene where he pops out of the hedge
and
you
he's
see
like
her.
half of him.
I've seen so many people post that picture online where they stand at that exact house.
Yeah,
post it.
That's a pretty.
It's cool.
If you're there, you're
It's
like
cool.
you're gonna tell me
do
you're
it.
gonna not.
You
do
gotta
it.
do it. You gotta do it.
it.
You gotta do it. Gotta get $8 for this.
Gotta get $8 for this.
What if you were? What if that was your house and you were doing photo ops?
How about I gotta get?
I know you're excited about that Instagram picture,
Yeah,
but
dude.
I gotta get $8 for it. And he's like,
dude,
what?
I love Mike Myers too, dude. You know,
I gotta get $8 for it.
I think as a side note, the funniest thing is calling Michael Myers Mike Myers.
Dude, I haven't. Written,
I don't know why.
I have it
that
written
makes
here.
Me laugh
I have
so
his
hard.
last name spelled wrong multiple times in here, and I have iterations of Mike Myers, Mike My, Mikey My,
Mikey My.
all kinds of nonsense. I think it's way funner not to call him Mike Myers, and funner is a word. But there's also one other scene that I think is hilarious.
Yeah,
Earlier,
go for it.
Right after the school scene, it flashes to Tommy Doyle at school, and he's getting bullied by the kids. He's carrying the pumpkin. He's basically doing the Linus, where he's carrying the great pumpkin, and he trips, lands on it, smashes the pumpkin. They're all laughing at him. All of a sudden, the kids start running, and Michael Myers just grabs one of the kids, and they're like, "Well, what's this? This guy's not supposed to be here." And the kid just looks at him. He lets the kid go, and then he just starts cruising and following Tommy Doyle. So you're like, is this guy just following anybody? Like, what's this guy?
Anybody who will have him, basically. Like,
he's like, dude, no one's going to your creepy old Myers house with the dead, half-eaten dog. So leave,
dude,
our house
get your
alone.
presence out of here,
Get
dude.
the fuck out of here.
He's like, I've never trick or treated before, but I don't think I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
So now it's Halloween evening.
Yeah. Now we're at evening. So they have successfully smoked doobies, been chased by Michael Myers without knowing it, listening to Fear the Reaper, which I think is an awesome scene.
Yeah.
Quick had to fan the doobie out while they rolled up to the sheriff.
Oh, dude.
At the hardware store where the mask got stolen.
Big time.
Hilarious when they're like, "Oh my god, did my dad smell it on me?" And he's like, I don't give a shit.
He's like,
I don't give a fuck, dude.
He's like, dude, I'm so drunk right now, I don't even care.
But yeah, so now they've gotten back in the car, driven to their respective houses. They both walk into their little houses to greet their little kids that they're both
little kids, little Tommy Doyle.
One cool thing here is in both houses they're both watching horror movies at night.
Yeah,
they're both watching the original The Thing.
Really?
Which is cool because it's got that slow burnout, just like John Carpenter, the man, does his The Thing. So this is before that movie obviously comes out.
Yeah.
But they're both watching The Thing from around the world, and there's different scenes. I think they're also watching Forbidden Planet later on. But they're at different parts of this night between both houses. The Thing is on.
That's
and they're
pretty
at
cool.
different parts. They're at the part where they're all like trying to figure out the shape of the shit, the craft and stuff. I'm like, this is fucking.
That is pretty cool.
I was like, Madon, this is just too much for me.
They got Mike Myers. They got the
Mike
Thing.
Myers.
They got it all, dude.
But yeah, so there's another cool quote from Loomis. He goes,
"Go for it.
He's not a man. He has the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes." And I'm like, dude, everything he says, he could say,
so cool.
he could say, "I woke up today and I took a shit," and I'd be like,
dude, tell me about it.
Tell me more about
Hell
that.
yeah, brother.
Was it greasy, dude? Tell me.
Was it greasy? Oh my god. I love how I was just like blown through this plot, and then I was like, it's Halloween evening, and I was like, oh yeah, did I miss anything? And you're like, it's fine, you just missed the whole movie, but it's fine.
No, dude, I just got like
I
just write down
doing.
I write down random tidbits of sentences that just are words, maybe a quote, and just nonsense.
That's
just how
a
I remember
picture.
things. So like I'm like following what you're saying, and I'm just like, okay, I got this note. Okay, cool.
Got this note.
I'm like, oh, we can skip that. Who
Oh
gives a
yeah,
shit
dude, I'm
about that?
totally just giving you shit for
I know,
it,
but I'm gonna
'cause
give
it's fun
you
and
shit.
it's free.
I'm gonna give you shit right back.
Great. So Halloween night, like I said, they go to their respective little houses. Laurie is babysitting Tommy Doyle, while Annie is babysitting Lindsay Wallace across the street. Michael follows them, but basically follows both of them.
But he's posted up outside Annie's house. Which
yeah,
is
I was going to say he's
really...
spying on Annie.
Yeah.
And he kills the Wallace's dog.
Yeah, this is the.
I don't know what his
this is the
beef
trigger
is with.
warning.
Yeah.
The dog. Well, the dog kind of has. He kind of gives the dog the warning. The little.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't, but I'm assuming he's like.
He's
all
like, yo, dude.
Dog's barking inside. He's like, yo, I'll just give you a chance. I'll break a pot out
I'm
here.
Mike Myers, dude. I'm
He's
fine.
like, I'll just like give you a chance to stay inside. Don't come out here. I won't have to break your neck.
Yeah. I think the theme of him hurting and killing animals, though, that is like child psychology #1. Like early on, you notice that they're like young kids are harming creatures, like animals, basically harming living things. Pets is like a really common one. That's like a really sure sign that like you need intervention now because they have like tendencies that would lead to a Michael Myersing event.
Michael Myersing.
Yeah. I just think that's just it's really kind of brutal in the movie, but I do think it's cool like for the whole. I mean, they did their homework, I think, which is what I'm getting at. So Tommy spots Michael
Yeah.
This is the back in the other house. Tommy spots Michael and thinks he's the boogeyman, and Laurie's like, "You don't know what you're talking about, dude. I know him. It's fine." And then Annie later sends Lindsay to the Doyle house for the night, so that she can basically have her boyfriend over. Scumbag Paul. Am I missing anything here? So no, this is where Michael ambushes her.
The only thing that happens before she sends her over there, I think, is the laundry scene where she spills oil on herself or whatever, butter on herself. So she has to get she has to get changed in front of Mike Myers, who let's just say he had his knife out.
Mike Myers.
He had to get his knife out. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, but this is where he's like. Still while he's stalking her.
Yeah, so she goes into the laundry room. You see him through the door. He locks. She gets basically the door slammed. She gets locked in the laundry room.
Yeah.
And little Lindsay has to come save her from the laundry room. She's like, "How stupid is my babysitter?"
Yeah.
She doesn't realize that the boogeyman has just locked her in there and was about to murder her.
Classic.
So then she gets dropped off over at Tommy. She's like, "How would you like to watch TV with Tommy?" And then Tommy's like, "I'm making a jack-o'-lantern."
You're like cool, Tommy.
And then she's like, "Cool, I'm going to watch the thing from another world." He's like, "Oh, I guess I can do that."
I'm going to go do terrible things in another house. So then Michael intercepts, what's it called? I guess he intercepts Annie.
Oh, because she's going. Yeah, you're right. You said that she's going to see her boyfriend.
Yeah, it gets in her, basically intercepts her in her car, ambushes her, and strangles her. So she's like, all right, I'm gonna.
And then he does.
A little police action outside.
He does slit her throat too, but it's like a weird. Like I had to rewind it 3 times yesterday.
It's kind of strange,
and there's no blood, so it's real weird. And you're like, did he actually kill her? Like, what? He broke her neck? Maybe I don't. But he does slash her neck.
Yeah, he does something because she's
dead. She's donezo. She's gone. She's on the next world.
Done, dude.
She's gone to the
creature from another planet. So soon after, Linda and her boyfriend fucking Bob arrive at the Wallace house, and they basically find it empty. So they're like, "Oh, awesome! This house is empty. We gotta go plow." That was really.
I think your inner demons just came out.
Yeah, my inner thoughts. I wore my inner thoughts on my outer voice. So after they do the with arms wide open, Bob goes downstairs for a beer, where Michael kills him pretty brutally with a knife, pins him against the wall.
But this is the first "I'll be right back."
Is it really?
And he says, "I'll be right back," and you're like, "Oh, that was a bad idea."
Yeah,
you know how that goes.
And you're like, "Yeah, dude, I bet."
And he sees the door crack in the back, goes, "Try to be a hero." Closes it.
Don't be a hero.
Closes that. Opens the next closet, and just gets.
And Mike is there,
like lifted by his neck up against the wall, which has to be pretty.
Well, I think the theme is that Michael is like. Fucking incredible. Nick Castle, who played him, he's like 6'6".
Is it because he's eating dead dogs?
I don't know.
Why is he getting so strong? Usually people work at this. Does he have a strength training routine? Like, what's his deal?
They're at the institute.
He's been bending the iron nail. That's why he's so strong.
Oh, dude, he's been kicking down the palm tree like a kickboxer, dude. He's doing all sorts of wild stuff.
Yeah, he does just lift him and just.
Can you imagine that training montage of him and Jean-Claude Van Damme?
It's just very slow. But just so strong.
It's just so
He's
strong.
Just picking up cars.
That's so stupid.
Anyway, he gets skewered with that chef's knife against the
friggin' door or the wall. So then Michael poses as Bob. He basically just puts a sheet on and has his glasses over top of the sheet. I fucking love this scene. He basically is he's teasing him. Like he. I guess just walks up to her, and she's like, "Oh, come on, take off the costume and stuff." And she's basically just annoyed and is like, "Fuck it, I'm not dealing with this dude." And she goes to pick up the phone and be like, "Oh, let me go check in on Lori and see how it's going." Basically, what happened to Annie. But then Michael strangles her to death with the phone cord while Lori is listening on the other end, which is that's a pretty great scene. That is, I think, directly related to Nightmare on Elm Street when you hear. What's his name die over the phone? Johnny Depp.
Oh yeah, you do. You hear him die over the phone. That's right.
Die over the phone.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
He's getting butchered.
Yeah, you be the judge.
There's a lot more blood in that one.
We gotta stop with that dumb voice that we
do. I don't try to do that. That's not happens. A conscious effort.
Yeah, it's really tough.
I think it's like a comfort. I don't know what it is.
Oh, dude.
I don't know what it is.
Anyone listening, you tell us what that is. It's probably annoying.
It probably sucks. But yeah, then he grabs the phone and breathes into it epically, which is
iconic is the word I'm going to use.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Loomis discovers the stolen car and searches the streets. Basically, he's like, "Oh shit! Like Michael's here. I got to go find him." Worried about the phone call, Laurie goes to the Wallace house. Finds all of her friends dead, as well as the headstone that was missing in the upstairs bedroom, which is just kind of weird that he just like put it all. Like everything's there. Like it's just kind of neat.
She says, "All right, meatheads, joke's over."
Meatheads.
I'm like, what the
meatheads?
Yeah, she thinks she's playing hide and seek up to this point.
She's playing hide the knife in Tim's head. So she runs back to the Doyle house, orders Tommy and Lindsay to hide, and tries to call for help, only to find that the phone was dead.
But the jack-o'-lantern's lit in the corner.
Yes.
Which is, I think is cool.
Awesome scene. I love it. So Michael sneaks in through the window and attacks her. She stabs him in the neck with a knitting needle, which is, I love that scene. This is like, I think he, isn't this where he pulls the mask off too? Like
that's like when he goes upstairs.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's like the what's the when you say that something is the last of something, not the creme de la creme, but
the apex, the coup d'etat, the final, or the coup d'etat, like the final kill. I don't think
the chef's kiss. I don't fucking know. The last final little spurt of energy is when the mask comes off. Oh god,
that's the technical term for it.
Yeah.
So Laurie goes upstairs, thinking he's dead. She basically goes upstairs to check on the kids, but Michael retrieves his knife and approaches her again. Kind of just bumbles up the stair, which don't go up the stairs. If you're in a horror movie, if you find yourself in a horror movie, don't go.
What about the kids though? Was she gonna let the kids just die up there?
Yeah, sometimes you got to have a decoy.
Oh, sorry, Miss Doyle. There was this guy in a mask, and he butchered your kid.
He had a really
what did you do?
Sharp knife.
I stayed down here and watched Forbidden Planet
and watched Odd Life of Timothy Green. Obviously, you're like, what's that? Be like, it's this fire movie that's coming out. So seeing basically. Where was I? Completely fucked up.
So
Michael gets the knife and starts to gum up the stairs to try and like come after her again. This is where Laurie stabs him in the eye with the wire hanger.
She's in the closet.
In the closet.
He karate punches through the closet.
Yeah, he comes through and
she boom karate punch.
She hits him with the right through the eye.
Yeah.
Stabs him with his knife.
Yeah,
that is a good move.
Because he drops the knife when he gets stabbed in the eye. He loses his control of his hand. Yeah, she grabs that knife.
Grabs the knife and
boom. One time though, like I'm telling you, that's what's wrong with these scenarios. You gotta just keep stabbing until there's no more life.
Yeah. Classic.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, let's see if that holds up in court. After Laurie sends, she basically tells Tommy and Lindsay to go to the neighbor's house and call the cops. Michael gets up,
dude. But it's cool because she's telling him to go, and he's like out of focus in the background and sits up, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
I'm sure in theaters in 1978 in theaters, you're probably losing your freaking marbles during that.
Dude, everyone's marbles.
You're probably like, oh my god, does she know he's still alive?
I don't know at all what that voice was. You sounded like Gru from Despicable Me. Does he even know he's alive? That's stupid.
But then, so then he fully stands up.
Yeah.
And then you get the great struggle of 78.
The great.
It is. They're like grabbing each other.
Like, you won't get the best of me.
And that's when Michael's mask slips off. And that's the only time he's ever not masked, except for the first scene where you don't see him, but he jumps on top of the car.
Yeah.
That's the only time he's unmasked in the whole series, for real. Which is cool.
For real. Is he in Halloween H20? H2O?
Does he get unmasked, though? Do you see him?
Yeah, she pins him up against the thing. And then she, with the... Maybe not. I think he still has the mask.
He still has the mask on.
He still has the mask
his head goes potatoes, but...
Oh, yeah, but he weebles and wobbles, but his head flies through the air.
He gets the old, yabba-do, but I think his mask stays on it there, dude. Yeah. Because he's like, what he did is he put the Gorilla Glue on the inside because he's like, no one will ever see my face again. Because I have a lazy eye and I look fucked up. I look like the monster from the Goonies under here with a little bit of hair.
He's like, I think this white mask is going to make me.
He's like, you thought he's going to look fucked up from Camp Crystal Lake? Dude, I look like a fucking schlub under here. I look like... We see his face for a second, and then Loomis puts one in him. And then he puts the other 5. I counted. There's 6 shots. It makes sense. That's how many would have been in the revolver. He's got 6 shots. He puts all 6 in the chest. Loomis thinks he's done what he needs to do at this point.
So he falls off the balcony. He's laying just kind of on the ground. Laurie asks if that was the Boogeyman. I love this line because he says, as a matter of fact, it was.
Yeah, she's like, it was the Boogeyman. She's
like, yeah, as a matter of fact, it was.
Yeah.
Incredible line.
That's the coolest.
He looks... he basically looks down. He walks up afterwards and notices that Michael's gone. Like his body isn't laying where it was.
And the music hits.
And the music comes in strong. He looks out into he basically just looks up, and you can see that he's just like, he's still out there. And Laurie is just kind of,
she's sobbing.
She's a wreck.
And then you hear the
mask breathing at the very end of the movie.
And you're like, what's up with this guy? He's got bad respiratory.
Yeah. Be like, yo, get this guy a CPAP machine.
Dude, take your mask off. Take a breath. Does he take it off when no one's around? When he's eating the dead dog, he had to, right?
Oh my god, yeah.
Shatner's lips aren't that strong.
Yeah. That was a weird thing to...
Halloween hits, credits roll.
Credits roll.
Dude, it's so good.
End of freaking Halloween.
So what I like about this is there's almost like... And I said the same thing about Candyman. We talked about it real quick last episode. There's very minimal... There's just enough backstory to keep you in the game.
Yeah.
There's really not much. They don't give you a whole like,
it's not
previously on, and there's like a whole like, there's not like a whole mytho, and they created like this little blurb. And now Hollywood and anyone else who's paid $100 and made a sequel, whatever the fuck happens to make a sequel, has run the origin, made sure everyone is caught up to date on like. But honestly, having no information on this guy or little limited information, he just went crazy, killed his sister. Went to a sanitarium for 15 years, broke out, came back, and just started terrorizing his town. Like, that's it. We don't need any more connection to that. Honestly, and I usually am like, okay, Halloween 2 is great. I really like 3, unconnected completely. 4, 5, and 6, I can, whatever.
Return to Michael Myers, 4 is,
I can do 4, 5, and 6. Yeah. Okay, I get it. 7... H2O is worth watching.
That one's good. That one is very good.
And then whatever you want to do after that, have fun. Just don't call me and tell me about it. But what I'm going to say now is I feel like, same with what we talked about with Friday the 13th, if there was never a sequel and you were just left with, that's an insane mom that went to get revenge for her kid and just is actually batshit crazy and just started skewering people and got her head cut off.
Yeah.
And then you get like, you're never sure what happens at Camp Crystal Lake if Jason actually came out of the water or not.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's
this
a good
one,
movie.
if you never get all the weird connections they make, where Laurie's actually his sister.
Yeah, that starts to get like weird.
I do like 2. Waking up in the hospital, boom, boom,
so
boom.
So 2,
same night.
It's basically, so 1 ends. Obviously, he's like, shit, he's still out there. Laurie is crying. 2, she's going to the hospital the same night.
Yeah, it's the same night.
It's the exact. So like the continuation. If you're going to watch a sequel, you can literally watch 1, 2 right back to back, and it'll be a cohesive story.
And that's why I put them on Halloween night on the little Spooktober little calendar. I put 1 and 2 together because it's like I mean, it's going to cost you 3 hours total,
but it's good.
Maybe a little less, maybe 245, 250, but it's like a continuous 1 to 2. And it's not as nowhere as punishing as the remakes where they do the 1 and 2 on the same night.
Yeah,
it's actually worth watching. And I do like the 2, but if 2 never happened, you're just left with terror. You're like, oh, dude, so many unanswered questions where everyone tries to answer all the questions.
Yeah, it was something. I feel like this was like bigger in movies where it was like, it reminds me of like a camp story, like a campfire story of like, it always ended with like, and maybe he's still out there, and then like your buddy jumps out. Like it gives you the vibe of like, ooh,
like imagine, use your imagination,
like,
imagine something.
Yeah. So I think
like Nightmare on Elm Street, same way. There's some great sequels. 3 is great. 7 is great. I actually like 2 a lot. But if you just cut it, you're like, oh shit, they just got in that car and drove away. Are they gotten by Freddy Krueger? You never know.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th the same way. Candyman, they never made a sequels to that. I will say the remake is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I do have to check out that remake.
But I'm just saying, like, all these like cool stories that someone was just like they never imagined a sequel to. I'm like, damn, if this didn't have a sequel, it would be nuts. I mean, you would never get the exposure that you get with having a franchise, but imagine if they just kept Michael Myers to he's just some nutty dude, not like he's actually part of the cult of Thorn and like he has descendants and like, he's coming back to kill everyone in his family and Laurie's actually his estranged sister that they never knew they were related.
It's Jaws syndrome.
Yeah,
Jaws 1, perfect ending to a movie. They got the shark. 2, another shark. 3, fuck, who knows what happened.
The fuck happened.
4, all right.
And I said Amityville. That's another one that I was like, the original is awesome. Yeah. The second one is just zany. It's cool. It's zany. But it's still the same house with the same family, same backstory. Yeah. 3, they couldn't get and then I just noticed that like they just like, we gotta make money on this. And
it's like
but you just gotta you're kind of cheaping a lot of stuff when you do too much of that. But that's why Black Christmas, which John Carpenter took a lot of nods from and a lot of inspiration from. There's only ever one. They remade it. I think that's awesome. But that movie, is
solid.
Leaves you, basically gives you same idea where it only gives you a limited amount of information. It doesn't give you like the entire family history with a tree. Like, oh, this guy came from here and this did this. It's just like, what the fuck?
It's cool to just be like, this is the story. Like unanswered questions, because it's supposed to be like a psychologically unsettling movie. The unanswered questions is what makes it a good movie. Like The Thing, the ending of The Thing. Oh yeah, perfect ending to a movie.
And that one, you get dropped right in the middle. You have no idea what's happening beforehand. Perfect. You really don't have too much information ever on anybody.
Perfect.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, I want to know why McCready did this. I'm like, no, you don't.
Be like, yeah.
The second you know it, it's gonna be nowhere else.
Think about it. Like, get a friend and talk about it.
I want to throw this out there real quick. Paranormal Activity. Saw that in theaters. Horrified.
Yeah.
I went home, and this is before Wikipedia was as big as it was. I went home, and I'm like trying to find all these answers to this. I'm like, I need to sleep tonight. I'm like, dude, what actually happened?
Yeah.
Is this based on real life? Like, is this... I'm like, I'm freaked out.
Dude,
I was legitimately freaked out by Paranormal Activity the first time.
Well, it was the same thing when Blair Witch came out, too. It was like...
Oh, yeah.
I think, unfortunately, like, today, movies... You're told everything. Everything is put at, like, a nice bow on it, like... Or people just get mad. And it's like, no, like...
Oh, wait, what
you gotta
happened?
Like that you don't know stuff.
Dude.
Yeah.
If you get all the answers, you sleep better at night, but it kind of ruins the mystique of it.
This was before the age of you know... let's say, you know, the commercialized internet that we have today. I mean, before then, I mean, I talk to your parents or something like that, or your grandparents or something. You just, like, people used to just not know shit. And you'd be like, yeah, all right, we just didn't, like, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out, maybe we won't. And, like, that was fine.
As two dudes that have a podcast that scour the internet for information on movies that they're obsessed with.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we like that idea.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You got to find that mix between over-knowing and under-knowing, and that, like, mix of, like, oh, cool, I know all this shit about this. Yeah. But, like, I don't need to know everything that happened to Michael Myers. If he never had a name, it'd be even crazier.
Yeah.
And I found out the name actually comes from a producer that was on Assault on Precinct. It was a distributor in Europe, I think that's what it was. I can't remember the exact details, but it was someone that helped boost Assault on Precinct and, like, start his actual career.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So he dedicated... And the guy was like, "What?" And
he's like, "No."
He's like, "Dude, I'm this mass killer." And he's like, "No, dude, it's all out of it's all out of respect to you because like I wouldn't be here without you. So I named the killer after you." And I'm like, "Look, that's how they got this fucking
wild,
name.
Dude." Yeah,
but that's cool.
It is. I mean, this and just to kind of wrap it up here, like, I mean, obviously Michael Myers, like, he is that character, like we said at the beginning. No, that is the most. Other than Scream, I think is probably the most identifiable Halloween figure. Would you say?
Yeah, I'd say it is, and I would say the one that gives probably a run for the money though is probably Chucky.
Chucky's.
But what's funny about that is there's probably so many people that like Chucky, like the idea of Chucky, that might not have actually seen Child's Play.
Yeah, they just like the idea of like a killer doll.
I'm a bad boy. I got a Chucky patch. Yeah. I got a Chucky lunchbox, and it's like, who cares? I don't care what people like or why they like it. But same with Friday the 13th, because most people probably haven't. I'm not saying most. I'm saying a lot of people that have like a Hot Topic like Jason setup probably could be stumped with the killer of the first movie, which is so. I mean, it's like such an overused trivia joke at this point. But
and I think like I try and separate myself from like. We're kind of snobs about movies. Like, you know what I mean?
Are we though? I think we try not to be.
I mean, I don't think we try to be, but I think it's like
we just
get different stuff out of movies than other people would. I think.
I would say we have an affinity to learn shit about movies, but we never like. I feel like that's cool. Is like whenever we talk to anybody, it's never like, oh, you've never seen this. It's like, oh, you should check this out. Yeah, like we were talking to our buddy at work today, and he's like, oh, I haven't seen any of the movies on there.
Yeah,
to me, I was like, in my brain, it was like, what's up? Like how these movies are like shoved down your throat. But he's like I don't know. I've seen this movie and this movie. So I asked him like, what have you seen? What do you like?
I think we're enthusiastic.
And he's like, oh, I like this and this and this. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, you might check this out. You might like it.
But I always this one is always a movie that I recommend to people. Like it's if people are like, what's a good Halloween movie or like what's a good scary movie? I'm like the first movies I always ask, have you seen Halloween, Jaws, Friday the 13th? Nightmare on Elm Street and The Thing is like my oddball one just because I love that movie. Yeah. And like usually Halloween, people are like, oh, Michael Myers. Like even if you don't like horror movies, you know who Michael Myers is.
You've seen a clip of it, you've seen a picture, you know the deal.
Yeah. So I just think it's cool. I don't want to drag on too much with this one, but
okay, I'll give one more fact then. So the Haddonfield name comes from New Jersey, a place in New Jersey where Deborah Hill grew up. It was shot in Pasadena, California, which is kind of crazy to think about because it's like takes place in Illinois. But so they actually had to like light everything differently, so it didn't seem like it was warm and so like, that's why a lot of the blue light is happening at night. Yeah, they made it cooler so it would seem creepier. And the street names are all in the movie are all from places in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where Carpenter grew up. Yeah, so it's like he took a little bit of both of their lives and kind of melded it into like a middle America town in Illinois, which is kind of cool.
That is really good. I always appreciate that kind of stuff. And like you said, I do like the idea of like it's supposed to be a town that like you relate to, even though you've never been there. You're like, I know this town.
He's like, I've been to that town.
I've been to that town.
And then the only other thing I was going to call out was the awesome intro with the music hitting and then the jack-o'-lantern glowing and like you're zooming in on the jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, that whole thing is very iconic. Cool. It's
and you got the introducing Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, introducing, that is
like,
cool.
That's a rare one. This is where she got it.
The Scream Queen herself.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I'm really glad that we were able to do Halloween on Halloween. I hope you guys like it. Like I said, this is our 25th episode. We really appreciate all the support you guys have got. I think this is just very fitting that it's lining up this way. I think this is like one of the reasons we started doing this. So Keith, pick a quote for us to lead us out with. This fine All Hallows.
Well, you got He's Come Home. What's the other one that where is it? Hold on. I had this one.
I had this one. Fan.
Oh no. All right. I won't. He says the one line that I thought was really cool.
So wait, is this so after Loomis. This are we gonna say until next time?
I don't fucking know. I just want to say this.
All right, here go.
Loomis says, "Death has come to your little town, sheriff. You can either ignore it or help me stop it." And I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, death has come to your little town" is so crazy. But we can just say it. It was a boogeyman. It was the boogeyman. As a matter of fact, it was.
Happy Halloween, everybody.